Okay, so here we all are on this great good June day. And what we're looking at today is perseverance, something we've all had to have at times and wish we had at other times. But it's a good thing to look at as we go through our year. It's good to just tune into all the aspects of energy that there is prevailing in our lives and living and see how we're doing there, see how we're doing. I mean, if you go to the dictionary, as I always do, I love the dictionary. You know I love the dictionary. You go to, sometimes I don't always quite agree. Some little definitions, but mostly I do. But if you go there, you'll see for perseverance, tenacity, things like tenacity, you have to be tenacious. Things like, it says staying power. I love staying power. And it says, in America, stick-to-itiveness. We say stick-to-itiveness. Stick-to-itiveness. I don't know what they say everywhere else, but it says in America, stick-to-itiveness. And then there's dedication and commitment and diligence and all of those wonderful words. There's all kinds of, it's some even words that you'll find hard to pronounce, but that's okay. But one of the ones that I love is infatigability, tirelessness. When we're persevering, no matter what, we keep on keeping on. And that's the main thing we're looking at today. And as you know, stories abound of people who keep on keeping on. And the results that they have are a result because they did keep on keeping on. And I like the story of the two brothers who decided way back, in the gold rush days when California was the magnet for everybody from the East. They sold everything they had, everything they owned. They set out for California to make their fortune and to find their gold. Well, they came along anyway, and after a while they did. They did find a vein of gold. They struck it. They found their vein of gold in a shallow kind of part of the ground and began to mine there and did well. And then all of a sudden, the gold vein just stopped. I mean, it didn't just fizzle out. That was it. It was done. It was finished. It was over. And they dug a little bit more, and then no, nothing. So very disappointed and very irritated at the whole thing, but still made a good bit of money. Decided to sell everything, sell the mine, sell the equipment, and hop on the train because they couldn't at that time. It was just a new thing that was happening, the train service, and back they went east. So they sold the mine to another man who brought in an engineer and had him study the mine, study the ground around the mine, and the result was the advice, go dig where he was digging, just keep digging. So they started to dig, and in 3 feet they hit the mother lode. 3 feet, another 3 feet. And there it was. There had been maybe, I don't know, through disturbances of some kind of disruption that just cut it off. And of course, had those young men gone 3 more feet, they would have been instant multi-millionaires. But it didn't happen that way for them, but it did for the other man who came along. And can't we just so identify with these brothers? Because how many times have we embarked upon something and stopped just before we were ready to, pass the winning post? We've all done that. We have all done that. And if we had persisted a little more, maybe. But then the maybes are the maybes. We didn't, and so here we are. And I have a great sense of, things turn out the way things are supposed to turn out, but you can't help think at times if only. So perseverance in and of itself is real gold. In and of itself, perseverance is real gold. And it's a fabulous trait to have, that trait of persevering. And to persevere is to really live from what we learned as a little child. If at first you don't succeed, try again. That's what perseverance is all about, just learning what we learned in kindergarten. If at first you don't succeed, try again and again and again. To persevere means that I am clear about what it is I wish to accomplish. I know somehow or another I'm meant to accomplish it. I know deep within me I can accomplish it. And so no matter what, I'm going to accomplish it. And not be like so many of us who at times, as soon as we embark upon this, we get this great idea, it comes really from a place other than ourselves. We know it's a divine idea, we know it's a great idea, we're supposed to follow through on it. And as soon as we hit the first obstacles, that's it. We back away. We tell ourselves all kinds of stories. Oh, if it's going to be this difficult, it mustn't be meant for me. If it was going to be meant for me, it would be smooth sailing. Yeah, well, how many of us have had smooth sailing when we accomplished anything great that we wanted to accomplish? I've never had that kind of smooth sailing. As far as really wanting to get on the inside of the desire that I know is other than I am, and I know it needs to happen by means of me. There have been little jockeying things that had to happen along the way, but it was okay. That's life happening. But how many times have we backed off from obstacles and so on? An obstacle is just an obstacle. There's always a way around it, or over it, or under it, or through it. Always, to those who persevere. Always. Ask the Edisons, ask the Fords, etc. They'll tell you there's always a way. There's always a way. And you and I are going to be challenged to persevere in our lives, whether we like it or not. Of course we are. Of course, because it shows the stuff we're made of. It tempers the steel of our mental spines. That kind of tenacity and that kind of perseverance and that kind of stick-to-itiveness and that kind of staying power. Without it, we're not going to accomplish much of anything. And it has to bubble up from within us. And we can't catch it from anybody else or anything outside of ourselves. We just got to do it. If you're going to do it, just do it. I have a friend, and over our desk, in huge words, 2 words, do it. Do it. Do it. And we have so much going for us in our particular understanding of life and living and how life works to help us to just do it, to get on with it. If you take the artist, look at any artist. I mean, an artist has to take that slab of marble and hammer and chisel away at that slab of marble. And the work is often hard and arduous and tedious, until that final chisel stroke that reveals and releases the David or the Pieta or whatever it is that artist is doing. I mean, but to get there is a hard, long slog, and it takes tenacity. It takes perseverance. And I'm sure they've often hammered their fingers and all the rest of it like that. I mean, I just have to hammer a nail, and sometimes I'm hammering my finger, And you can imagine, and the dust and the grime and the so on. And remember, in those days, there wasn't any air conditioning either, So that thing within you is the thing that can only get you to complete and accomplish what you know you're here to complete and accomplish. It's that energy within you that says, no, you can't let go of this. This is not something you can step away from or back from. This is something that is given to you to accomplish. It is given to you to achieve, and you must do it. I mean, just picking up sometimes a jar of fruit to try and open that jar of fruit. Next time you do it, pay attention to yourself. You start to do it and you're okay. When you start, oh, lovely jar of beautiful pears, I'm going to unscrew the jar and it'll be lovely for a dessert, and you're feeling good. And the thing won't open, and you get, and you're getting, and you're having this conversation with the jar, blinking jar, come on, what's the matter with you? Open up, and so on. And you even have the little twisty thing that helps you, and still the thing won't budge. But if you stick to it and you stick at it, it will eventually return, and it will release the treasure within. But look at the state you're in by the time you've opened up the jar of pears, or the pair of jars, one or the other. I mean, you just think to yourself how a jar of pears can turn you from being this very mellow person into this annoyed, irritated person. Your energy can change just like that. And for heaven's sake, it's a jar of pears, nothing else. And sometimes we don't even persevere with that. We just throw it aside and get another something or another. Or we hand it to somebody else and say, you open it. And then the first time they try, it opens, and you say, well, I was softening it up. I was softening it up. But it took every endeavor, every twist. It took every twist to get it to the one that actually opened the jar. And each twists were very, very important. Very important. And so, when we're embarking upon a goal to be realized, we have to watch ourselves and not misunderstand stubbornness for perseverance. Stubbornness is not what we're talking about here. We're talking about perseverance, which is sometimes requiring us to stop, look, and listen, to reevaluate, to look at our motives, to see if our heart still sings with regard to realizing the goal that we want to realize, to see if our heart still sings. And if our heart still sings, all is well, and then we continue and we persist and we persist and we persist. Sir Winston Churchill was famous for very many things, but he's very well remembered for one of his speeches that he gave at a commensurate speech at a college. It was either Oxford or Cambridge, and I can't remember which. And he was the keynote speaker for the graduation. And so when it came time for him to get up and speak, he got up and he just strode very slowly to the podium. And he stood at the podium and he looked out and he said, "Never give up, never give up, never give up." And then he strode back again to his place. And that was his talk. Powerful, awesome talk, amazing talk, probably one of the shortest in history. And yet so impactful, never to give up. Perseverance requires of us to do things today that other people won't do, so that tomorrow you don't have to do the things that other people have to do. Perseverance is something that truly always brings us a wealth and a gift and a treasure once we accomplish what we set out to accomplish. Always. But when you look at yourself this week, is what we're all going to be doing with regard to perseverance, and see where we fall in line with that on 1 to 10 of a scale. You'll be surprised at how sometimes that persevering streak in us is not as strong as it could be. And we're not as bold as we could be. And we're not as sure as we could be. And we're not as clear as we could be in the accomplishing of whatever we have to accomplish. I'll give you an exercise just this week for all of us to write down good ideas that come into your head. Write down those good ideas. And then see how far you go with them. Because in the past, you've had good ideas. You've even written down good ideas. And nothing ever happened as a result of that. There was no investment in it. No running with that particular ball. No giving it a chance. No trying it out. No seeing if it would take root. Not a tiny little step toward it. Just a good idea written on a piece of paper somewhere. Useless. This week, when you get your good ideas, write them down. And then the following week, look at them and decide what you're going to do about them. Because remember, you and I get to choose to live an ordinary life or an extraordinary life. And the difference is The difference is seeing things through. The difference is taking every step we need to take until we get to the end of the journey that we want to reach. It means absolutely hammering out to the last chisel hammered point to release the treasure within. That's what it means. Do we want to live an ordinary life or an extraordinary life? And a very ordinary person, whatever that is, in very ordinary circumstances, can accomplish the extraordinary and does all the time through stick-to-itiveness, through that tenacity, through that staying power, through the step-by-step and drip-by-drip approach, never abandoning something unfinished. And it's given to you and nobody else, and if you don't do it, it doesn't get done. And with the teaching that we have, it's an amazing thing that we don't actually temper ourselves more deeply and fully with that characteristic of perseverance. Because we can. Because we can. The law of life, the creative process itself, is enduring. It is persevering. It is consistent. It is always the same in its absolute way of being. And its way of being is to accomplish every single thing it's given to accomplish. That power for good in the universe, greater than anything and anyone, is yours and mine for the use, and indeed for the abuse, depending on how we're using it, on the affirmative side of life or on the negative side of life. But by using that law consciously and aware, we can live extraordinary lives, because it's given to each one of us to do that. There is a line in Scripture that reads in the New Testament, "Anything you ask the Father in my name shall be given to you." But so much gets lost in translation. Translating from the original Hebrew language into the Greek language, into Latin, into Hebrew, into the vernacular. Lots of translations there, and much gets lost. If you go back to the original Aramaic language and you see what is said for anything you ask the Father in my name shall be given to you, it reads, anything whatsoever you ask straightly and directly within my name, you shall be given. So far, you have not done this. Ask without motive. Ask without motive. And be surrounded by your answer. Be enveloped by your desire that your joy and gladness may be full. Slightly different version, would you say? Pure science of mind. So anything you ask directly and straightly, so anything you get clear about, anything I get clear about, any good thing that crops up in my mind, anything I feel inspired to accomplish, whatever that is, if I get very clear about it, if I'm very, very clear about it, I'm very definite about it, I'm very, very perceptive about it in my mind without the shadow of a doubt, anything like that, and I ask. Now, ask means not begging, not pleading, not imploring. Ask means coming into the awareness that this is already available to me, and all I have to do is to agree with it and say yes to it from within the power and the presence that I am in and is in me, coming from that energy, coming from that nature, from within my nature, from within my name. Name always means nature in this regard. From within my name, within my nature, anything I get clear about with that sense of the nature of the Creator, of the Almighty and the All-Powerful and the Omniscient. And I come with that energy, and I come with that yes, and I come with that power. Anything that I can do that with, and then be surrounded by my answer, which is always yes, 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 and be enveloped in my desire, in the feeling of this already being done, being accomplished, then it is mine, and there's no ifs, ands, buts, or doubts about it. Because that's the way the law of life works. That's the way the nature of life works. The law is there to accomplish that which I send into it, and to bring it on home to me by bringing it on home through me as the experience I so desire. Isn't that amazing? Oh, the scriptures are wonderful when you know how to read them. The scriptures are absolutely wonderful when you understand what was said in the original language. And they're not over-translated. So I'll say it one more time. Anything that you ask for straightly and directly from within my name or nature shall be given to you, but ask without motive. Go beyond the ego. You can't ask at the level of rationale or logic or reason. You must be asking from within the nature of spirit. Ask without motive, and be surrounded by your answer and enveloped by your desire, that your gladness may be full. Wow! Does that not excite you? It excites me. And not only did it excite me the first time I came across that, but every time I come across that, it excites me. That I can live this extraordinary life once I stay in the awareness of that which is greater than I am, because I can. Once I realize it's not me, it's just me allowing, it's just me being the instrument through which the good can come through and out into all experience, and my experience in particular. So this week I'm inviting us all to look at ourselves with regard to how persevering we are with the teaching, for less anything else. How much of an effort, and sometimes it takes effort, because when we're in our three-dimensional way of being, it's efforting, and we have to make the effort. But how good are we at that, in showing up to be still and listen and quiet, so that we can hear the good that wants to come into the world by means of each one of us? Well, I don't know. I'm going to have a good time with that this week, and I'm knowing that you are too. So remember, you are not alone. You never were alone. You never will be alone. The power of the presence that created you, supports you, sustains you, maintains you, is available to you, and all you have to do is to open up in sweet surrender, saying yes to the good that is there for you and you were supposed to have. Are we ready for that this week? Yes. Okay, then, we're on, and so it is.
We invite you to experience Dr. Moira in person on Sundays. Our services are at 9 a.m. and 11 a.m., and childcare is available. Please join us. If you enjoy these messages and would like to make a donation to our center, please visit our website at redondocsl.org. Thank you for your support of this ministry.